Perhaps people do not understand what it is they're saying out of their damn mouth. You say stuff like, I want a diverse meta. That does not go together. The meta is consisted of decks that have the highest percentage of winning. You cannot have more than, I would probably say, 5 decks within the meta. You complain about the meta. You're sick of seeing this, and this place well in events. Well, it is not exactly our fault that Konami or whoever makes a card game makes cards that have a slightly more powerful and more effective impact in comparison to other cards in the game. It is not our fault that Konami made Fire Lake Burning Abyss. It is not our fault that Konami made Cleforts really, really good out of the box. It is not our fault that Konami decided to make Denku Seka. And for a person not to play those things within a game which Konami made the cards for is rather foolish, but I think the one foolish thing that a lot of people do is say some shit like diverse meta. That shit don't go together. Now, some people can argue, not that long ago, there was a diverse meta. I would want to say that that diverse meta was a format. It didn't last that long when there was like more than 5 decks. Actually, was there even more 5 decks? That's probably way too ambitious. There was more than 3, but that's when the format wasn't established yet. This was around the time people said Dolce with Tier 1. And we saw what happened with that one. All the time, there are cards that are being made. There are cards that revitalize an existing archetype for a brief moment in time. However, for somebody to say they want a diverse meta is basically saying they want a human being that does not need oxygen to breathe. That shit does not go together. That's like saying you want to have sex with a female and not get her pregnant. But you decided not to use any protection. She's not using birth control, and you're not using a condom. And you conveniently just happen to ejaculate inside of her, but then you want her not to be pregnant. That doesn't go together. I understand you want to have multiple things to choose from. You have those options. The problem is with the meta, that's like in the competitive context. In the meta, you're not supposed to have a huge group of decks that are good because all archetypes are clearly not created equal. And what exactly would the point be if you had like 5 or so decks that were meta? Pretty sure we haven't had that ever. This is what you get into when you're playing in the competitive scene. You can play what you want, but there is the meta that you have to deal with. And I'm not even mad about people playing the shit because it's successful. You want a diverse meta. All right. So in like the next month or so, what's going to happen? Secret Forces comes out sometime, the Hero Structure deck, Dark Law, Mass Chain second. Yeah, that's great. It's not going to shake up the format that much. There's still going to be those few decks, but because the shit is new, people are more willing to try. Let's just see how it stacks up. But they're willing to pay money to see how it stacks up rather than actually test the shit out without paying money to see how it stacks up. Eventually, that shit's going to be weeded out and we're going to be back right here talking about some stupid shit like diverse meta. Again, this is just my opinion. I think that shit sounds stupid as a motherfucker. But everybody has their right to their own perspective and opinion. I just think that people are expecting way too much from something competitive, where in the competitive scene, diversity normally doesn't happen. It will take somebody else that plays something that's not the meta to combat the meta. It does not become the meta. People will still play the shit that has the highest percentage of winning. I thought this was already talked about. I thought people knew this, but apparently they do not. So I'd like to thank each and every one of you for watching. Appreciate that shit. Can't stress it enough. Before you go, I'd like to also ask you to click an advertisement because it's the cheapest and the quickest way to help me out if you ever so desire. Literally take seconds out today and no money out your pocket. You know, it helps the brother out, paying his end of the rent. It's not a lot to ask. I'm grateful and appreciative if you do it. I just think people are asking way too much from something that can't happen just based on the design. That's like saying you were born a human being, but you want to be something like a giraffe. That doesn't work.